Hello? Yeah, okay. Well, thank you guys for coming. Is everyone ready? I can start? Yeah, okay, great. Sorry, it's lunchtime, so I'm gonna be quick on the track. So just to introduce you a bit, Neova, we built a Deepin layer, a Deepin protocol. We distributed all the storage systems in order to build a decentralized cloud. So that's quick introduction on it. Gonna review everything, but first, I want to compare a bit with what is existing right now. The centralization, storage, the companies, the cloud, everything is owned by data centers. So every data you are running, for example, in an application, or you have a database, well, you are using AWS, GCP, OVH, well, every providers in a centralized way, you are using their computing power. You are using and giving them access to your data. And that's for me an issue. So that's why we built Neova 2 years ago. Well, we started to develop it because I don't want my data owned by companies. I don't want just to share my pictures, having that in Google Image or whatever. I just want to have my documents as ownership. So that's the idea. But when we research a bit, we find other issues. And the first one was the security. The security of the cloud, we can find it right now with the issue with Cloudflare last week or 2 weeks ago. Same time as AWS downtown, AWS crashed, and actually every services in the world crashed at the same time. So that's a big issue for a developer, for a company. You need to have access to your data, and you can't have access because you are not the owner of it. So that's the idea of having something very decentralized and, of course, using the cybersecurity of the Web3. So the dependency and, of course, the sovereignty. Today, if you are owning your data and you are hosting it in France, you need to be regulated in France. But if you are using AWS, for example, the issue is the data is in the US. So if you have confidential documents, confidential research, innovation, or whatever, you need to be regulated by the US, and that's not your market. So we have a sovereignty problem on it. So that's what we wanted to do at Neova, is building something where the ownership is giving back to users, where, of course, the sovereignty can be chosen, because the idea is to have a big cluster, having a modular infrastructure, and just plug it as we can use, not making big developments, just to have something very easy to connect. For example, an infrastructure as a service system, because a cloud needs to be a service, I think. So we have that sovereign system, sovereign storage, because our cluster can be in different parts of the world. We have a cluster in France, we have another one in Germany, we have, of course, some in China, in the US, because we want to work with everyone. We are not just focusing on the Web3 projects, we are also focusing institutions and Web2, because the norms are quite the same right now. So the idea was to have something very easy to use, to just provide a cloud computing system while we can just use it for security, ownership, transparency, and also confidentiality. We are fully distributed because we don't own the node. I don't have data centers. I don't use it. I don't want it, actually, because your data needs to be everywhere in the world, because the availability of the data is very important. So the idea is to have it in a node network, fully distributed, redundant, in order to have access everywhere, every time, and when you want it, actually. So if I unplug the things, that's the same things. You have access. And of course, the low latency, being fast. So that's the idea of the modularity. We need to be scalable right now with the AI things, with all the depth in the world pushing a lot. We need to be something where all the data can enter and we can use it everywhere. So just to make something quite tech. So to explain a bit the Neova infrastructure, on that part is just that part. So the cloud is clustered in order to just have the endpoint. So you are a developer, you are a company, you have a database, you want to host it, like you are using AWS, for example, you can connect it. It's an endpoint. So we have an API, you are pushing it, of course, but we are generating all the encryption first. I don't want to have access to that data, and I'm pretty sure that you don't want to. So the idea is running the service encryption when your data is going out your application where you are using our database or your database or whatever. So that encrypted services is pushing your files, your documents, your flows into our cluster. So something very hashed, actually. Of course, we are using the sharding, the splitting, the redundancy in order to just have blocks and not have access to all the document. And then our cluster gonna just have a regional thing. We are using, for example, you are in France, we're gonna use a part of the node network where the nodes are in France in order to have the sovereignty covered. So we are running that node through our community, through our companies, for example, because a company right now don't use all the capacity they have. So the idea is to deal something with them. You have your data center, you are using it, okay, but if you have 10%, for example, and you want to monetize it, we can just plug a Neova node on it, and you are, of course, storing some flows from us. So that's the idea, to have very distributed things. We are using S3, not just IPFS. IPFS is very great. So the cold storage, of course, is in IPFS. But every application right now at the moment is very S3. So we made an API S3 to IPFS to convert all the flows we are using in the world right now. And we can have regular call. So if you need like a node storage, you can just push it on the cache of our cluster, you can recover all the data. And then, of course, you can run the application on the time. Why we are using Ethereum? Well, we need to have the transparency. We need to use the Web3 thing, so we need to have smart contracts. Our nodes, since we are focusing on the regulation, the nodes spans through smart contracts. So we need to cover where is the location, how much downtime you have, if we need to shard it, if we need to recover it, if we need something, everything is pending through the smart contract because we can verify it, of course. So for a Web2 institution, for example, we need to have something very covered in the low systems. The transparency, of course, with Ethereum, you can check everything. It's encrypted at the beginning, so no worries. But if you have your key, your private key, you can just recover it. And then, of course, the privacy. We are Web3. You have your data. We don't have it. So we are covering the privacy system, the confidentiality. It's quite same as everything on the Web2 as I presented at the beginning. Our business model is quite simple. We don't want to reinvent everything. It's like a subscription, a cloud use. You pay as you used our cloud. We can also tailor-made white label solution. And I love it, actually, because I want to work with projects. If they have a specific issue, I have the team to cover it. So we can tailor-make something to have like a Neova sub-layer. If you want to have your node network running for like a jurisdiction or a lawyer, they need to have it on their computer. So we can just have a white label things. And then, since we needed to have a test on our cloud, we also developed applications. And the first application we developed to test our cloud was a drive in order to target the B2C also. If you want to host your document, you can host it and you are owning it, for example. And we are right now developing the Neo sign system, an electronic signature system based on ZKP. So it's a proof of identity in order to sign a document, a contract, because it's better to sign from your identity and not just from an email. We are in POC right now, so the test net. So we are onboarding companies, institutions. If someone wants to try it, well, feel free to connect because we want to have it. We don't have paid POC. We don't want it. We just want to tailor-made solution and work together. And of course, we need to have a circular economy. So we have a token. Well, we're going to launch it in September, October, more or less. The idea is to have the B2C things, but also our cloud in a circular economy in total. So we have our token in order to just have everything through the same currency and not just fiat or euro or dollar. We are making it for everyone. And the drive actually is in public beta right now. We are also raising, so, well, that's the idea of scaling our team, for example, because we want to have more development power, because we want to have more solutions and develop more use case. Every application we want to do, like the drive, like the electronical systems, is to enter a real use case in the real world and not just making another things. We collect feedbacks from companies. And that's it. If you have any question or something, feel free to ask.
Are you building your own storage provider network, or are you pinning on top of IPFS?
We are using IPFS, but we tailor-made the nodes in order to have Neova node based on IPFS. We are not using the public system storage of IPFS.
Understood, thanks.
Well, thank you everyone, and enjoy while can.